day. Welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okoro. The Nigerian police says a multiple suicide bomb attack in Maiduguri, Borno State has killed at least 6 persons. According to the Borno State Commissioner of Police, Damian Chukwu, 4 of the victims were Boko Haram suicide bombers, while 2 were members of the local vigilante called Civilian Joint Task Force. He says 2 of the attacks occurred at a bus station, while the third blast took place a few meters away near the city's entrance gate. The attack occurred hours after the police foiled a separate attack by 3 suicide bombers in the state. The suicide bombers were intercepted by a police patrol team while they were attempting to enter Maiduguri. 2 of the bombers were killed while the third person was arrested. The Federal High Court of Appeal has adjourned ruling on the appeal filed by the McCarthy-led faction of the People's Democratic Party indefinitely. The McCarthy-led committee had in its appeal asked the court to set aside the ruling of a Federal High Court ruling which declared it as illegal. The Federal High Court ruling has also affected the party at the Ondo State governorship election. INEC recently replaced the candidate of the McCarthy faction, Eyitayo Jegede, with Jimoh Ibrahim, who is the candidate of the Sheriff faction based on that ruling. In a bid to boost Nigeria's dwindling economy, the Export-Import Bank of China has promised to commit $1 billion for special economic zones in the country. Nigeria's Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Okechukwu Enelema, who confirmed this at a news conference in Abuja, said the government plans to use the loan to fast-track the provision of infrastructure for the youths and private sector interested in investing in the country.
The other partners we're working with on this are the African Export-Import Bank, Africa Exim Bank, and the China Exim Bank, the China equivalent. And the good news is that they have also committed that they are prepared to spend up to $1 billion on these special economic zones. So I think there's going to be funding available as we begin to actually build them into industrial centers and centers of excellence. So this is also a priority for this, for this government and for our ministry. By the way, I should make the point that the special economic zones are being driven through the Nigerian Export Processing Zone Authority, NEBZA, for these non-oil special economic zones. Of course, you know that the oil ones are being driven through Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority. We are launching a project called the Smart Digital Nigeria Economy Project. The Smart Digital Nigeria Economy Project. The whole idea is how do we fast-track the provision of infrastructure for our youth and the private sector who want to play in the digital economy to do so with, while lowering their costs and the challenges they face. The reason why this is very interesting is that this is an area where Nigeria actually has the capacity to do very well. And it's not really about the government, it's about the people. If you look at what is happening in the whole ICT sector, it's been nothing short of a revolution. We now have over 200 million lines. The rate of growth of, just sort of broadband and internet is quite impressive. And Nigerian entrepreneurs and youth are very innovative and are holding up, they're holding their own in the global marketplace. That's why you've had people like the CEO of Facebook, visiting, and some of the other, big players in the sector visiting. But we think we can do more, particularly in terms of providing the enabling infrastructure for them to play. That's what this smart digital project is going to be about.
The Nigerian government says the Academic Staff Union of University ASU may have to suspend its ongoing nationwide strike action. Officials from both sides have been meeting to find a way to resolve the demands made by ASU. Clement Ilo, who is the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Labour and Employment, told journalists in Abuja that the government was positive that ASU would soon resolve the crisis. The Academic Staff Union of Universities had on Wednesday this week commenced a one-week warning strike. ASU says the strike action is aimed at drawing the attention of the Nigerian government to what they describe as the chronic underfunding of the education sector. The Nigerian government says it is currently in talks with the government of the United States of America to repatriate about $480 million, part of the recovered loot stolen by former head of state Sani Abacha. A statement from the spokesperson of the president, Garba Shehu, says the country has won a judgment to repatriate the loot back to Nigeria, adding that the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, will be in the United States next week to discuss ways to return the money. He also says that the government has begun the process of recovering all the looted funds in a U.S. bank, including $1 million stolen by late Dipriye Alamese, a former governor of Bayelsa State. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, says it has destroyed expired, fake and counterfeit drugs worth over 75 million naira. Director General of the agency, Yetunde Oni, confirmed this to newsmen in Abuja, the nation's capital.
Of the products that are given to, that we are mopping up from the marketplace. We also have donations, willful donations from our stakeholders that submit to us their unwholesome products for destruction. And usually when we are carrying out this destruction exercise, all the stakeholders are there to witness that it is not a case of diversion. So the cost of the products being destroyed today has been given by NAFDAC.
We are serious about mopping up all counterfeit drugs from the nation, which is very good. And I want to commend NAFDAC for their effort. And I want to also direct that they should do more and mop up all dangerous drugs that are in the country.
The United States says it is deeply concerned about the news of a clash between the Shiite group and officers of the Nigerian police force. At least 9 persons, including a police sergeant, were killed when the police clashed with the sect on Monday this week. In a statement on Friday, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry says he is troubled by the apparent disproportionate response by the police. He called for calm and restraint on all sides, a reduction of tensions and greater communication between Shia citizens and government authorities. President Muhammad Buhari has inaugurated the governing boards of 3 parastatals of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. The parastatals include the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board, and the Nigerian Nuclear Regulatory Authority. All the boards have the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachiku, as their chairman. At the inauguration, President Buhari charged the new board members to live up to their respective responsibilities. Nigeria's Federal Road Safety Corps has flagged off the 2016 Road Traffic Victims Remembrance Day. Speaking at the event, Corps Marshal of the FRSC said road crashes in Nigeria was increasing daily due to the negligence of traffic rules by most Nigerians. He assured that the agency will ensure that any violation of road traffic rules by commuters will attract severe penalties.
Recent studies suggest that up to 1.3 million persons around the world are killed and up to 50 million injured every year on the roads, of which about 20 million are disabled as a result of their injuries. The World Health Organization and the World Health Assembly project that road traffic collisions would have risen to the 3rd leading cause of disability by 2020 and the 5th leading cause of death by 2030. The disturbing aspect of this is that up to 90% of these deaths and disabilities from road traffic collisions occur in low and medium income countries like Nigeria. While we appreciate the enormous task ahead, we strongly believe that our collective resolve and efforts will go a long way in reducing this global menace.
On the accident investigation, so far we have conducted 85 road safety audits. And on accident investigation, for any crash that occurs of 6 deaths threshold, we've been able to carry out detailed investigation, but we have just resolved that all the crashes must be full investigation now because of the magnitude. So far, we have conducted 110 investigations that are critical. and that most of the recommendations are being implemented. I believe this is a call to remember the loved ones. World Remembrance Day for road traffic crash victims. We've lost so many lives in the country since independence to date, and we believe that if all measures are put in place, we should be able to reduce the fatalities, reduce the crashes to the acceptable level. And the ambitious program of the call for the nation is to have a zero crash. We believe this is achievable if the attitude of road users is changed positively. One of the key problems that is happening that caused the gridlock on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which we are witnessing presently, has to do with the lawlessness. And I believe if we can improve on our behavior on the highways with respect to road traffic rules and regulations, it will be a marked departure.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Abike W. Erewa, has described the execution of a Nigerian man in Singapore as heartbreaking. The man was sentenced to death for drug-related offenses despite repeated calls for Nigerians to desist from criminal activities like drug peddling. In a statement, W. Erewa condemned Singapore's actions while also urging Nigerians to avoid drug trafficking. A federal high court in Abuja has adjourned the trial of pro-Biafran leader and founder of Biafra Radio, Nnamdi Kanu, till December 1st. Kanu is standing trial for treason, management of an unlawful group, and smuggling of radio transmitters and firearms. At the resumed hearing, the judge, Justice Binta Nyako, heard the bail applications filed by Kanu's lawyers and other defendants in the case.
Well, the point is that the contentions of this prosecution is speculative. And we have addressed that effectively in our response. Because the court cannot act upon speculations. Before you are talking about national security, you should look at the proof evidence attached to the charge. And the proof evidence attached to the charge preferred against our client, Nnamdi Kanu, is not only porous, it's baseless and unfounded, and has no connection with the charge before him. It was just filed, attached, the charge was just preferred to make the case look serious or magnificent. But the proof evidence is empty. So the court has to go into the proof evidence at the point of considering the bail application to know whether issues of national security has been raised. We are talking about IPOB members. IPOB members are fully registered. You will hear me when I was addressing court on that. We have furnished the court with certificate of registration of IPOB across the world. Then in this country, we have the freedom of association, right, and freedom of expression. So they are not dangerous to society in any way. And they have not been gazetted as such. So their activities does not in any way constitute threats to national security.
The business of the court today is for them to move their bail application. And as you are aware, the case is starting de novo, having been retransferred to Her Lordship, Justice of the Federal High Court number 4. And we've just argued bail application.
So if you look at the whole case from onset, Nnamdi Kanu, who is the director of Radio Biafra and the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, has been charged differently all the time, from one charge to another. It looks as if the entire federal government is shopping for charges against him. Do you understand? Now, somebody you've charged for treason, all of a sudden you come up again with another charge, stating that you're charging him now, conspiracy to commit treason. So to me, it does not make sense. But the question I keep asking is this. Before 1914, who were you? You're either Biafran, Oduduwa, or Arewa. So why is the Biafran issue a problem? But let me make this known to everybody here present. Biafra for us means freedom, and we'll have the right to exist. That's all I have to say. And I believe that hopefully come 1st of December, bail will be granted to these people, and finally they have their freedom. And then the criminal trial will proceed. If at all they are guilty, let them jail them. But I believe that by the end, Nnamdi Kanu and the rest of them will be vindicated.
The Nigerian government will, on November 21st, arraign a justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Sylvester Unguta, before the Federal High Court in Abuja. The judge is being accused of money laundering and violation of provisions of Immigration Act. Justice Unguta is one of the 7 judges arrested by the Department of State Services last month. The Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice had amended the charges, raising fresh allegations of money laundering involving 505 million naira against him. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at more top stories. Don't go away.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so...
Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We're only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which game was with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria says it has lost over 500 billion naira in the last 18 months to insufficient foreign exchange and credits to run operations. The group says to curb the effect of Nigeria's turbulent economy, it was time for Nigerians to look inward and source for its raw materials, as well as patronize homemade products.
Importation of plant and machinery, or for some project in your company, you want to expand your capacity. You have dollar borrowing because you want to import plant and machinery, and you borrow the dollars at 198, and today it's 320, but you're not even sure you can secure 320 because the repayment maybe is over 5 or 6 years. Will the forex end at 320? Will it end at 400? Are you going to supplement with dollars from the parallel market? So there's a huge exchange rate loss. We have big losses that manufacturers are faced with, and we reckon that it may well be over 500 billion. So that is yet another problem.
The issue of lack of foreign exchange. I mean, how many times do you want to talk about that one? So that's what we are saying, that we are aware of the situation, that things are hard. We are looking inwards to see what we can do, for example, to make sure that we can source as much as possible our raw materials from within the country and then develop them and manufacture them. That may be very difficult because there are certain things that we cannot source locally. But at least areas of comparative advantage that we have as a nation, we put in our best there. And then we also encourage ourselves so that we reduce our taste from foreign materials, so that we make use of what we have, even here in this country, including the food. Let's eat our own food, produce what we can eat. So those areas also will help us to get things better. I'm very confident. No, I don't lose hope at all that this nation will get better. By the grace of God, before this time next year, we will be singing a different tune, which will be very positive for this country.
Nigeria has reached a deal to pay $5.1 billion in unpaid bills to oil majors, including Royal Dutch Shell and ExxonMobil. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the OPEC member state oil firm, has amassed a total of $6.8 billion in unpaid bills up to December 2015, so-called cash calls, that it was obliged to pay under joint ventures with Western oil firms, with which it explores for and produces oil. Oil Minister Emmanuel Ibekachiko says the agreed amount, which is about $1.7 billion less than the total amount owed, would be paid within 5 years and will be interest-free. Oil prices fell on Friday as a strengthening U.S. dollar beat back renewed hope that OPEC might finally agree production cuts. Brent crude oil futures fell 32 cents to $46.17 per barrel, while U.S. crude oil futures were down 47 cents at $44.95 per barrel. Analysts say uncertainty over the OPEC deal lingered in the markets, and even if the producers group does reach a deal, the impact is expected to be short-lived. At least 73 people were killed and scores injured in Mozambique as they tried to siphon fuel from an overturned truck which exploded in the country. The truck was transporting fuel to Malawi from the port city of Beira and was near the border when the accident occurred. The government in a statement said the injured had been taken to hospital and a government team was due to travel to the affected area. The United States has circulated a draft resolution to the 15-member United Nations Security Council to impose an arms embargo on South Sudan. The U.S. also wants targeted sanctions amid warnings by a senior UN official of possible genocide in the country. Political rivalry between South Sudan's President Salva Kiir and his former deputy Riek Machar led to civil war in 2013 that has often followed ethnic lines. The pair signed a shaky peace deal just last year, but fighting has continued and Machar fled the country in July this year. Moving on to sports stories now, the Nigerian Football Federation Referees Committee says it has dismissed 31 Premier League referees on performance and age grounds. According to the Nigerian Referees Association, 8 of the referees were retired on performance grounds, while one of them was retired for medical reasons and others were retired on age grounds. The remaining Premier League referees will undergo fitness tests and a pre-season seminar between November 24th and 30th in Abuja. Reports in England suggest that Manchester United forward Wayne Rooney may lose his England captaincy following the outrage, which followed pictures of him looking drunk after a night out. The England captain was pictured by local newspaper The Sun looking intoxicated after crashing a wedding on Sunday. The picture drew the attention of the English Football Association, who say they will now be investigating the incident. The 30-year-old has also apologized for his behavior and admitted that he acted inappropriately. 16 athletes, including 10 medalists, have been disqualified by the International Olympic Committee for doping at the 2008 Beijing Games. The 10 medalists who competed in weightlifting, wrestling and athletics were all found to have taken banned substances after retesting of samples. The build-up to the 2016 Rio Olympic Games was overshadowed after a report found evidence of a state-sponsored doping program in Russian sport. The IOC have also so far retested over 1,243 samples from the 2008 and 2012 Olympic Games based on improved techniques. Well, that's all we have at this hour. Thank you very much for joining us. I am Thelma Okoro.